right as well,
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's welcome everyone. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this amazing conversation with Veronica Pullen. First of all, I want to let you know that she has a bit of a hearing impairment. So we're working with that.
Still my story.
Yeah. So Veronica is going to tell us all about really coming up in ChatGPT and AI search results so that, when people are using ChatGPT, which is now super widespread, you can actually be one of the people that it recommends so you can get leads and clients directly from ChatGPT.
And their friends, absolutely, yes.
So, Veronica, do you want to introduce yourself?
So, I have been running my online business since 2010. So as you touched on, I was born about 70-80% deaf, hard of hearing, and what classified as deaf, I'm hard of hearing. When I was 12, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So when I start waving my hands about, you can see most of my joints are disfigured due to the early damage. When I was 25, I was then diagnosed with an eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. And in the UK, that diagnosis means your driving license is immediately revoked. So I'd only had it for 7 months. Right? So that's gone. And now I'm kind of at a crossroads. Like, what do I do? Do I just live my life without much independence, or do I change the way that I do things? And what I do is I move my social life online. So that's like 30 years ago, long before Facebook and all of that. And I used to go to work and come home and chat to people. And I've done that every single day for the last 30 years. It's what I do for fun. It's what I do to relax, to wind down. And so that then became, I met my husband online, and then I was a bookkeeper in my past life, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I decided that I wanted to get paid to write from home. So that's where I started as a copywriter. And then one day I got an email from somebody selling a program about being a social media manager, and it said companies will pay people to help them, to teach them about this newfangled technology, because this was 2010, it wasn't, we weren't all online then. I was the weird one. It was like, my friends used to laugh that I had online friends, and some of those friends are still my friends now. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this for fun. And I could get paid for it. And that's where it's all started. And now I literally just do what I'm called to do. We talk about human design. I'm a 5-1 emo generator. I answer my response. And I very, very, very much live in my response. If I don't get that response ding, it doesn't happen, And I just do what I'm called to do, and I help other people to make an income online. So with all of these conditions, I'm a spoonie. A spoonie is somebody who has to conserve their energy for priorities, and it comes from the spoon theory, where spoons are a metaphor for energy. And so I feel very passionately that people like me who wouldn't succeed very well in the real world job market, because I'm the breadwinner. Despite all of that, my business is our income. And so I feel very passionately that somebody like me, who perhaps is feeling that their limitation or their illness or their condition or their situation is a limit, I feel very passionately that we are empowered, that you have the same level of financial freedom as anybody, and that you do it in the way that is tailored to your design. I feel very passionate about that. So that's what it took me to social media, to copyright, and to GEO, which is what we're here to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yes, that's being that inspiration for others with disabilities. And yes, the online space is perfect for
Yeah.
anyone to, do and have that life of freedom, right? So I love that you really created that for yourself and just went all in there, even when it was weird, strange, you were the odd one. So amazing. So these days, ChatGPT is being used by everyone, right? 2 years ago, it was like, oh, I don't know if I want to, have AI know about me or whatever. But these days, everyone is using it as a personal therapist, as, a business consultant, marketing consultant, everything, right? And so we want to actually, the main thing is that people are not using Google as much anymore. They're
That's
going
right.
directly to ChatGPT. So now
Yeah.
we want to be found or recommended by ChatGPT. So Veronica is going to tell us how to actually do that.
Yeah.
What does
So
it take?
because ChatGPT has become really quite a pivotal part of our life. It's almost like we have, I've talked about socializing online 30 years ago. It's almost like ChatGPT is another online friend, you know? And it's very easy to, we just get in, we go to chat, I go to ChatGPT first instead of Google, and I'm just like, hey, friend, Chatty, my friend Chatty, help me out. And by the end of 2026, 25% of online search will be people like you and me just going to ChatGPT and saying, because we go to Google and they've helped Google results, haven't they, with their AI summary at the top. But it's really difficult to go to Google and get a clear answer. If you've got a question, if anyone remembers the old days of Ask Jeeves, where you say, hey, Jeeves, it's like that. It feels like that. And so ChatGPT and, it's Chat, it's Grok, it's Claude, it's Perplexity, it's any of them that are generative AI. We go straight to them and we say, who do I need? Who can help me with social media for human design or human design and marketing? And it trawls through its training and it gives this person and this person and this person. So how does it find us? Well, the first thing to know is that these generative AI tools are trained, and they're trained on data that is publicly available up to a certain cut-off date. Now, each of them have their own model. Each of them, the models are updated on a different date, and each of them, the cut-off date for the training of that model is different. So people who are being recommended by ChatGPT, and I'm going to say ChatGPT, and I mean them all, now are those of us who have been where we need to be for years. So going forward, you must make sure that you take action on things that we're going to be talking about here, because you may not be recommended now, but your job now is to train the models for the next and future updates. Okay, if ChatGPT has not been trained on your information, you won't be recommended. Now, the current model of ChatGPT, as we record this today, was trained on data up to, and sit down because it's quite old, November 2023, 18 months ago. So I don't know when the next update is due, but it's a long way behind, okay? So
Yeah.
if you start today with ChatGPT, you may not get into the next update, but you will definitely get into the one afterwards. But that's all good because you still got time. As I said, 25% by the end of next year. We're very, very early on. This is the perfect time to start. So let's go back. We're talking about the topic of GEO, and GEO is short for generative, as in generative AI engine optimization. Now, if you're familiar with SEO, the principles are very much the same. However, I don't know about you, but I find that the topic of SEO has been talked about for so many years now that we've just switched off. We've got blind to either you're into it or you're not. Either you're already optimizing heavily or you're not. But GEO is important now because, we're all talking about ChatGPT. This is a little marketing conversation where it's about tapping into the conversations that are happening. We're audience are talking about ChatGPT. Let's talk about being optimized for ChatGPT. 80% of social media is invisible to AI, to AI search tools. Now, we're already hearing stuff that we're already slightly ahead of many of the others out there. Provided you're talking about your topic here, you are ahead. You're in the top, 5%, because this is a platform that it reads. Generative AI does not read your Facebook post. It definitely does not read your Facebook profile post. And if any of you, Facebook is my main platform for marketing. And if any of you have been following my teachings or many of the other experts on Facebook marketing, our content is heavily on our personal profile. ChatGPT cannot read it. ChatGPT can read somewhat what's on your Facebook page. It cannot read your LinkedIn post. On LinkedIn, the only thing it reads is what's in your featured. You know, at the top of LinkedIn, you can put things in your featured section, and it reads your LinkedIn newsletter articles. So there's two places to use to write about your content of expertise, your topic of expertise, the thing that you want to be recommended for. It reads Substack for public posts, things that we post for everybody. Can't read paid because they're behind a paywall. It reads your YouTube transcripts. So make sure you always have transcripts of your YouTube videos and embed them inside your Substack post to add a little bit of extra juice as well. And add the captions via the transcript because it reads text. It's scanning for text. So it calls it persistent content. This is permanent, long-term content that it can read. You write today and then it can read in 5 years' time, you know, when it's been trained on to look for you, to find you. So your job now is to make sure that the content that you're publishing that talks about the topic that you want to be recommended for is in one of these persistent placements, which is your LinkedIn features section, your LinkedIn newsletter. So one way to publish a LinkedIn newsletter and then pin it to feature it and use your LinkedIn newsletter to bring people here or to your main email list or both. Use a blog on your website. If you have got an optimized website, your blog is also persistent placement. Your Substack public posts, the more you publish publicly on Substack. Now, I recommend to all of my clients to use Substack because it's already an authority domain. You haven't got to worry about optimizing the site like you have with your own site. You've just got to worry about optimizing your post inside Substack. So it's kind of like a shortcut to having good GEO content. But you've got to train ChatGPT to know who you are. So the first thing you need to do is teach it. Teach it. Yeah, teach it who you are. So this is training it on, give it the links to everything that you've got publicly. Tell it what you do, who you help, what you want to be known for. Give it everything. Give it upload content that you've written before. You know, if you've got Word documents or PDFs or anything that you've written before, give it everything that you can give it to teach it who you are, what you want to be known for, and also how your tone of voice is, because the better trained your GPT is, the better quality the output it will write for you. You know, if you're asking it to help you write content, and I actually think ChatGPT is the godsend for us generators and manifesting generators, because we can talk to it. It talks back. I've created so many. Off 3 of my most recent offers, I've created alongside ChatGPT. But when I get we have a conversation, and when I get the ping, we're good. I have it write the first draft of copy, and then I respond to it to have to sizzle it up, you know? Yeah. And I think it's perfect. But in order for you to do that, you've got to teach it who you are, and how you write and your style and all of those things. Really interrogate, really teach it. Now, if you use a free ChatGPT account, it only remembers what's in that conversation. So my recommendation is that you have one main conversation open on ChatGPT, that you use it for anything related to your GEO content or content that you want it to write for you, because then it can remember what's inside that conversation. So you're going to get quality output. If you've got a paid ChatGPT account, which I have, then it remembered. But I use ChatGPT. That's my everyday friend. I go to Grok, which is the Twitter stroke X AI, because Grok's primary source of data is tweets. So it's much more tapped into the live conversation. It's reading what people are actually saying inside Twitter X. I can't get used to it. So I go to Grok when I want something that's more like, tell me what people are saying about this. Or like if there's a news feature, tell me what's the what's the score here, what's going on. And I also use Perplexity, because I find Perplexity is good as a second copywriter. I've trained my Perplexity and I find it's actually good. It does good, not always, but it's better consistently than ChatGPT. You need to remember as well that they're trying to please you. So you must be discerning about what you listen to. But ultimately, your job is to first of all train your GPT, and I have a GEO starter kit to help you with the prompt to train it if you need that. And also then to make sure that your content is in the place that it can read. So that's your Substack public post.
Okay.
It's your LinkedIn newsletter articles, and then feature them, blog, and YouTube transcript.
YouTube transcripts, Substack, blog, a LinkedIn feature.
Yeah, Beehive and Medium, but we don't talk about those here, do we? No. And the thing, what I'm really excited about with this whole conversation about GEO is that when we post, because I write my content into my Facebook personal profile, that's where most of my business comes from. But it disappears, doesn't it? Like 5 to 7 days later, nobody's reading it again. You send an email, it gets read or it doesn't, and that's it, it's forgotten. But what I'm really passionate about is that we don't waste content. When we've taken the effort to write something, reuse it, repurpose it, and so turn those good emails into Substack posts, into LinkedIn newsletter articles. If you want to keep your LinkedIn and your Substack separate, use your email as LinkedIn newsletter articles. Make it persistent, make it long term, because then somebody who asks ChatGPT in 2030 for a recommendation in your niche topic is going to be led back to that content long after your email has gone, long after your social media. You're probably 2 social media platforms away by then, and it's still recommending that piece of content. So don't waste it, reuse it, repurpose it.
Okay, so just to let everyone know, Veronica has a hearing impairment, so I'm going to be shouting a little bit. But Veronica, the question really is, basically the key is SEO. So do good SEO, right? Blogs, Substack, everything.
No.
So do good SEO, and then go and train ChatGPT or any other AI. Train it on who you are. So have conversations with it to educate it about what you're doing and all of that, right? And another thing that I've learned about this, generative AI optimization, right, instead of search engine optimization, is using schema markup. So schema markup is like this, I don't know exactly what, like this setting on a website, right? So that search engines can crawl the website. Okay.
Right.
So these are seemingly the keys. Do good SEO, train ChatGPT, and set up a good schema on your website so that it can properly understand who you are and what you are talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So when it comes to the SEO part, you need to understand what it is that your ideal client is actually going to look for. So what? And when it comes to GEO, we're talking about the questions they're going to actually ask ChatGPT, because I think we probably, personally, and let's put this out, but I think we talk differently to ChatGPT than we do to Google. So think about who, who your ideal client is and what they're typing into Google. Now, I have an ideal client little theory that I teach, and that is, if you think about your normal audience, your normal buyers, the people that are your customers now, they're at 12 o'clock. Think about the people who are at 10 o'clock. What are they asking ChatGPT? Optimize for those people, because they're the people who are already at 12 o'clock are probably already familiar with who they need. Somebody who is at 12 o'clock is probably already is following the help that they need. But the people at 10 o'clock are not. So, I mean, obviously you can do both. You can do everybody. But if you think about who it is at 10 o'clock, who's early, who isn't yet, like, properly tuned into, they don't know, in your example, they're probably not familiar with human design yet. It's, it surprises me how few people are,
Yeah. So we're
Um,
talking to problem aware people versus solution aware people, right? So we're
mm,
targeting problem aware people, and thinking about the questions that they have,
yeah.
right? And
What are
then
they asking,
basically,
chat? Yeah,
yeah, and then creating content on blogs and Substack for those people.
yeah,
So, and
correct.
then, yeah, and so if we, take those questions of people at 10 o'clock, right, problem aware people, and then create all of those blogs and also feed that to Chat GPT, it's gonna start recommending us. But also only if we also have good SEO too, because
Yeah,
if it can't find us, Chat GPT and other AI has internet access. So
yeah,
if it can go onto the web, and it probably does, kind of like a Google search, right? And then
yeah,
are we coming up in the first pages? It's probably gonna just go after the people that are in the first pages of the search, and then recommend them. So SEO is important. And then on top
yeah.
of
And
SEO,
much
we
less
do some
competition. Um, so at the moment with ChatGPT, it's much less. Like you say, it's very hard to get on page one with SEO. But with ChatGPT, the competition is lower because your question will be more specific. Now, I had a long conversation with Chatty about GEO, and then what I did is, after I'd had the conversation with Chatty, I took it to Grok, and I said to Grok, "What's wrong here? What has ChatGPT said that is untrue?" And one of the things that it said, it was the most popular. ChatGPT said it was the most popular of the generative AI, and Grok was not having that. Grok was not having that at all. But there were a few, and then I did the same thing with Perplexity. I asked Perplexity, what haven't these two told me? Act as a peer review and find the errors. But one of the things that came up was that training your GPT it's mostly about serving you. Training your GPT with the information that we're talking about is mostly for your benefit, to ensure that when you're having your conversations with it, what you get back is it tuned in to you.
Yeah.
It's less important when it comes to the perspective of being recommended, because when they're looking for who to recommend, they're looking outside at the persistent content. So it's your content in the right places that will get you recommended, and it's the training that will help you get the best output quicker, save you the time. If you've got the free ChatGPT account, it doesn't remember outside. It's very inside. What stays in these, goes on in these walls stays here. You know, if you've got the paid ChatGPT account, I can start any conversation now, and it's going back to stuff we talked about before. Right? You don't get that with free, so it's very much contained. But being found and recommended is about the content that you're putting out there. The people who are being found and recommended now have had blogs or Substacks or LinkedIn newsletters and featured posts for before 23, you know. So you got to get in now, start now, because only 25% by the end of 26. So we're very, very early. Probably another decade away before this is like Google, you know. I don't think we'll be saying I'm just going to go and chat GPT that next year or the year after that, you know?
Depends, I guess. But the question I also have about training AI is, I know that the free GPT takes what we talk about and uses that to train the AI, right? So if we're having these conversations with the free GPT, then it is being trained on what we are talking about, right?
Oh, yes. Well, and no. Because there is a setting in ChatGPT settings to use your data to train the model. And I recommend you turn that off. Because otherwise what's happening is if you're putting your IP in there, it's being fed out, your IP is being fed out into the model and made accessible to everybody. So if you've got that setting on, yes, everything you talk about is teaching, but that setting is not impacting your findability. Whether you have that setting on or off it does not have any impact on whether it's going to find and recommend you. You will be found and recommended based on the persistent content. You will be served based on the conversations that you had. And I checked that because that was a question I had as well, because I knew that people were going to ask, what does it matter that I've turned off? Because I told people to turn that off like 6 months ago. And the question, no, it doesn't. And I checked that again with Grok, and I checked it again with Perplexity. No, the answer is no. You're only, if you have that setting on to train the model, your information goes in. So this is how, we all laugh about ChatGPT's obsession with the M dash. It's because it's been trained on a bunch of content that, and it's gone a bit overzealous with it, hasn't it? But no, turn it setting off, and it's not going to impact it will save your IT from getting out and being included in its outputs elsewhere, but it won't affect
Yeah.
your findability.
I was thinking of having two ChatGPT accounts. I have two accounts. I have one that is paid, right?
Oh,
And that's where I turned off the setting, right? For
mm-hmm.
it to be trained on my information, right? But I have another free account because I don't want some stuff to be saved in the memory and disrupt my whole
Oh,
workflow. So I
that's
have a
smart.
free account as well. So I could technically go and have these conversations and train, so to say, ChatGPT on my work. right? Or feed it these articles. I'm not really clear how we train ChatGPT for GEO, right?
So you train, yeah, you don't train the GPT for GEO, you train the GPT for output. The content trains the GPT for GEO.
Okay, so you mean like you create good content that then is perfectly set up
Yeah,
to
so what
serve.
I'm saying is that if Fred Blocks types in um who do I need to help me create content with human design, it's not your conversations with ChatGPT that Fred Blocks is going to be given the information from. It's the content that you've got in the persistent placement. The training of ChatGPT is to help you with the output, but it's doing that in helping you get quality outputs. It's helping you create geo content that will help you get found. You know, that makes sense.
Mm.
So, when you train your GPT and then go and interrogate and say, "Hey, who am I?" or it's going to give you a positive answer because A, it's been trained to please you, B, it's been trying to keep you there, and C, it's remembering what you just talked about. Yeah. But Fred Blocks is not going to get your conversation. Fred Blocks is going to get all of your Substack posts and your LinkedIn newsletter and your Medium articles and all of those
Okay.
places.
Okay. So the question I have is, how is GEO then different from SEO content?
Well, it's not really. But the thing is, people most people, certainly in my world, are not familiar with SEO because SEO's been very technical, and people are, just diligent keyword research, blah blah blah. It's become very like expert. It's become something that we have to pay people to do for us. Where what the difference is, GEO, certainly in the world that I inhabit and the conversations that I've had, is much more accessible. It feels, because we're talking about actual conversations, and we can go to ChatGPT and ask it, what are people talking about? We can get that. So if you're already an SEO expert, you're all right. You're doing great. But I'm really talking to people who are not. I'm talking to people who, like me, have gone with SEO, but GEO feels like, I don't know, like baby, the baby of SEO, in the sense that it's much more ground level. Technically, it's the same thing, but it feels, because of the nature of it, we're having it listening into the conversations rather than analysing data of keyword clicking and all of that, But if you're already an SEO expert, you're good. You don't need to change anything. Just keep doing what you're doing, except perhaps expand your keyword usage to include more long tail conversation keyword. But if you're not an expert in SEO, GEO is a great place to start thinking about, because the other thing I think with SEO, and correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody who's coming along now wanting to get started with the SEO, you touched on it earlier, it's very hard to get onto page one. It feels very like almost like it's too late, it's missed the boat, where GEO being 25% by the end of 26, but way early, it feels like I'm getting on the ground floor of this. And we know that the model's not being updated tomorrow. We've got time to figure it out and get going. And, it feels it's much more accessible and much more doable than trying to compete. It feels very, very different. But technically, it's the same thing.
Okay. Okay. So now I'm really like asking myself again, like what is the true difference, right, between the two, or how do we actually get ourselves in front of ChatGPT, right? If we're already writing these blogs, if we're not an expert in SEO, right, and we can just write blogs that are optimized, right, or just blogs that are using keywords, or blogs that are using headlines as questions, right? Questions
Yeah,
as
it's the
headlines. Like,
same
how do I get?
H1, H2, H3 structure that we've been using for SEO. It's about when I speak to people who are uh, very SEO aware, they're optimizing their website, their blog post. When we're talking about being recommended by ChatGPT, it's about optimizing those persistent places, optimizing the content in the persistent places. So, use as many of those persistent places as you can where ChatGPT can find you, not just the website. If you haven't got a website or you haven't got a blog post a blog that is optimized, use Substack, use YouTube, use LinkedIn, use pin to feature things that you want to keep. So, and I've forgotten what the question was.
Oh, just
What was the difference? What's the difference? Yeah, it's about just the difference is if you are an expert in SEO, there's no difference. If you are not an expert in SEO, the difference is that you're coming into this earlier. So where ChatGPT, where you might not get on page 1 of Google right now, ChatGPT isn't restricted to page 1 of Google. ChatGPT can find you on page 59, right?
But why?
Um,
Why would it go there instead of recommend the top people, the top coaches, consultants from the first page, if like they are the best, right?
yeah,
Supposedly because they are on the first page, why would it recommend me on page 50? Right, I don't have authority. Basically, like, this is why my blog is on page 50, let's say, right? Because I don't have enough backlinks, right? I
yeah,
don't have enough authority, or maybe, I haven't written long enough,
yeah.
all of these things, right? So if basically, it seems to me that if I'm not doing SEO well enough to be in the first pages, then ChatGPT is going to ignore me too. That's what I'm thinking, right?
Well, when people have conversations with ChatGPT regularly, it knows who they are, right? So it's matching things that you've talked about with things that they've said. So it's not just, if you go to Google and you type in human design and content, you're going to get the people who have optimized for human design and content. But over here, ChatGPT is saying, well, I know that this person is a hypnotherapist, and I know that this person is like a mid-50s female. So it's matched. It's going to say, well, over here, I know someone who, I don't know how, but over here, it's looking at everything that you've said. It's not just looking at the keywords that you've optimized
Yeah.
human design and content. It's picking up much more, but it's not just looking at page 1. A human doesn't go much past page 1 because we're bored, our attention drifted. ChatGPT has got unlimited. It will match.
Yeah.
It's looking for consistency. You've got to show up consistency. When you're consistently talking about the same thing, you're being remembered. It's remembering you. It's finding you. It's not just because you've only optimized one page for one keyword, but you're consistent, persistent content about the same topic. It's picking
Yeah.
you up. It's going.
Okay. Okay. I get you. I get you. So let me do a little summary for everyone. And I think I kind of get what you really mean. It's like, yes, with SEO, we can end up on the first page and be found there, right?
Yeah,
But for AI, it's actually going super niche depending on what you need, right? So it knows that, like, oh, I don't just need human design for marketing, I need human design for high ticket marketing as someone who sells something intangible, right? And all of those kinds of things. So it's just filtering,
Yeah. Yeah.
filtering so much until it finds the perfect match or a
That's
couple of
right.
them, which is then you, right? Because you have written on this topic over and over, right?
Repeatedly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly that.
Yeah.
And not just that, but we talked about battling. But when other people are writing about you as well, this is an SEO, if you've had press, or, when people are linking back to your Substack post or whatever, that's helping. Chat is going, oh, hold on, this person does know what they mean, what they're talking about, because look at all of these other people that are talking about them, So it's all adding up. It's building this whole picture of minute detail rather than just like that keyword and that keyword in that place. It's this whole, and that's what I'm saying. Use all of the persistent placements, repurpose stuff that you've already done. Those emails that you sent, the email newsletters that you sent last week, stick them up on a LinkedIn newsletter. Substack posts that you've got in your archive, stick them on a LinkedIn newsletter. Don't waste stuff. Always, anything that I write, I'm like, where else can I use this? I don't want to lose it,
Yeah. And some people need to be careful because you can't create double content, right? So if you
duplicate content, yeah,
duplicate content, yeah. So you can't just literally copy paste your whole Substack into the blog because of SEO rules, so to say.
Well, this
right?
is where Chatty can help you. You're well trained, Chatty.
And exactly, that's what I wanted to say now.
Spin this for me. Spin this email. Yeah.
Exactly that. And that's the key thing. It's like, if you can just take the whole post that you wrote, that you published, give it to ChatGPT, or if you wrote it in there, it's already there. And then you can just say, okay, can you rewrite this, right? From a different angle, in a bit of a different tone of voice.
Slightly keyword, slightly different question.
Yes, different headlines and things like that. So it's the same post, but it does a little bit of rewriting so that, it's different enough. It's not duplicate content. So that is really, really important, right? And so that way you can maximize the life of that one post and spread it everywhere. And then the second thing also is what I call the 111 method, which is taking one topic and talking about it from 11 different angles, right? I mean, there's so many more sub angles that you can take, right?
Spin it.
Exactly.
Squeeze it, turn it around the other way, put it apart.
Yes. So let's say we are talking about, I don't know, losing belly fat, right? So it's like, okay, let me talk about, how I did it, a client case study, or mistakes, the real reason why, you still have it, even though you're doing everything, et cetera, et cetera. So you can take that one topic and talk about it in multiple different angles.
No, I've done that. That's something I've done for my clients. Give me the thing and I'll find you, and I'll do that manually, but our chat can do it quicker. The way that I teach people to write content is to scroll their news feed. I don't do this so much on Substack. I do it mostly on Facebook. But I read somebody's post, and you'll relate to this. I read somebody's post, you know that? Ding! I've got something to say about that. And so I write a comment as if I'm writing the post. I just write, and then I copy it, and I paste it into the post, and I tidy it up, and then that becomes the post. So that I'm not sitting down to write. 90% of my content starts, 90% plus of my content starts because I'm replying to somebody. It's a comment, or it's a reply to a message or an email. Tidy it up. Then I take it from there, I spin it around a little bit more, make it an email, and then I tidy up a bit more, expand on it a little bit more, make it into a blog post or a Substack. I don't typically do this on Substack. I tend to write. At the moment, I'm writing stuff like that, but it goes on my blog page. So it starts off as I have something to say about this.
Yes.
And then, so it's writing itself, but it just doesn't it? It just falls out. And then from there, it becomes the email and the blog. So it's kind of effortless, all that effortless content. It's about engineering yourself to be consuming the right things. You're not going to have that response. You're not going to have a relevant response if you're not reading relevant or consuming relevant content, So then, and then give it to try and spin it again,
Yeah. And I love that. Collision is saying genius. And by the way, she was asking how do we turn off ChatGPT training itself on our data. So I just want to share that for a second. You can go in ChatGPT on your profile picture, and then go into settings. And then from there, I'm literally looking at it. You can go into data controls, and then it says, let me see, improve the model for everyone.
Yeah, turn it off.
Yeah.
And you can do it on a free account as well. Because when I first talked about it, a couple of people said, "Oh, I can't do that," and then we went through this whole procedure, and you can. So free or paid, go into settings and turn that off.
Yeah. So the thing that we were talking about before that I love so much is being smart with your content. So, for example, I have a lot of notes here on Substack that are really done good. So with that, I see the topics, right, or the insights, right, that people need. So I can take that basically testing out on notes, right, and short form content. So I post something on there, and if it does well, I can then take that little thing, give it to ChatGPT, and say, expand this using my formulas that I have for my writing, right? So like use it and create an email, right? And I have a sort of say formula for email, right? I know how I write emails, how long I want them to be, how it goes into the call to action and all of that. And then I'm like, amazing. Let's also turn this into a 1,500 word blog post, right? And then, of course, I first like ask it or tell it like this is kind of like the outline that I want, right? Like this is what I want you to write in there because they can come up with all sorts of nonsense. I'm like, I'm giving it the draft and I love to voice transcribe, right? That's how I write. It's like I give it the full draft, the outline, and I'm like, okay, now let's expand. And it does all the boring stuff, like coming up with the headlines or adding in, some, I don't know, some explanations or research or whatever it is, right? The stuff that I'm like, this is so boring. Like, I just want to write about the things that are
very similar. It's so cool, isn't it? And it's just I find it remarkable. There's a lot of anti AI stuff. I just find it incredible. And for those of us who are the responders, that the generators, manifesting generate, it's brilliant because we've got this constant response. I mean, like I said, I've always created my content by responding, or I've curated my Facebook newsfeed to give me more of what will activate me. So that I don't have to scroll too far. I know that if ever I need to write something, all I've got to do is open my Facebook feed and something, or within 10 posts, I'll get it, right? But when it comes to creating offers, I've had to wait for it to drop in, brew, become fully formed, and then go. But now I can take the seed of an idea to Chatty, and I just sit on my sofa and I talk to my friends. Like, it feels very much like what I used to do 30 years ago with these online friends. That this one's not real and this one's always awake, But we just have this back and forth, and within half an hour, the idea it's firing back at me. I'm like, no, but I'll take that bit, and bing, right, we've got it. And then I'm like, right, okay, use my model, write me the page for it, and then I just send it all across to myself. I just email it to myself to remember that I've got to do it. Email it all over to myself, wake up the next day, and I'm like, right, let's go. It's just so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of to continue with that, take everything that you have, right? So as Veronica said, comments that you're leaving, right? I leave like really in-depth comments. Sometimes like when I'm really inspired to give an answer, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let me give you the full answer, right? And I put something in the comments and I'm like, this is gold.
Yeah.
Let's take this, turn it into a blog, turn it into an email,
Yeah.
right? You're having, excuse me, conversations with clients, right? They're asking you questions, right? Or for instructions, or why is this happening, right? Like
Yeah.
mental blockages or whatever it is that you're doing, right? You can take those from those conversations, right? The question that they came to you with, use that as a headline and, expand on your answer so that it
Yeah.
serves your entire audience, not just
Yeah.
that one person, right? So, like, everything that you can. That's what I love about ChatGPT, right? And writing with it, it's like it speeds up the delivery
Absolutely.
of
Yeah.
all of my knowledge and wisdom to everyone. Like before ChatGPT, like I am already like so overwhelmed, like, doing my own business, serving my clients, right, living my life and everything. And like, I don't want to spend that much
No.
time creating content, but I have so many ideas, so many, so much wisdom to share. So now with ChatGPT, we can take those little pieces, right?
No.
Or draft quickly with voice notes and say,
No.
hey, write about this specific idea, use this example, mention this thing, mention that thing, and then it expands it into a full blown blog post, or takes that blog post that you wrote and takes out little Substack notes from it, or turns it into an email, or
Yeah.
repurposes it, all of that stuff, rewrites it so you can have that, same blog post in different
Yeah.
words, on a different platform and things like that. So
And
it's amazing.
the first thing is just to note it when you are replying, because I think you and I do that instinctively, but I don't think generally people are awake. I see people on Facebook again. That's where I write these amazing comments because they're doing what with they've had their response activated, outpours this genius, and then they hit enter and scroll on, and I'm like, don't do that. Go back, reuse it. Don't think about every time you're answering a question. Someone emails you a question and they hit you up in the DM. Can I pick your brain? Sure, you can pick my brain. Ask me your question. Thank you very much. I'm now going to write something about that, and you can get the answer there. Think about, just note it when you apply, and make it your mission. Never, well, 1 out of every three reuse. You can't reuse them all now because they can't really make a Substack out of happy birthday. But try and aim at 1 out of 3 of your responses and reuse that goal, because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, and then Chatty can help take it on from that. But you've got to start with noticing that you are applying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also love what I do inside of my offers is when clients are asking me something,
Mhm.
right? And I provide that answer. I take that, I expand on it with ChatGPT, and I add that to the FAQ, right? To a knowledge database in Notion, right? So every next client, I don't have to like have them waiting for my answer. I'm like, hey, you have that question? Here's the full answer, right?
Yeah,
And it's then optimized for everyone instead of just that one client, right? Or me
yeah,
having to rewrite the
yeah.
same answer over and over and over again. I can
If
just
any of
take
my
that.
clients are listening to this, they're going to laugh because we are so on the same, doing the same thing inside the office. If I'm selling a live course, which I just am, I'm starting a new PDF to Profit course tomorrow. I'm creating as I go along, and that means that the next lesson will include what's been brought up from the first lesson, so I can create the content in response to what's being discussed inside the program, and it's topical based on what people are already talking about.
Yeah.
That's quite scary for many. I don't know if it's a generator excitement thing or whether it's something else, but I find that I get buzz out of that, and I'm not having anything. I have day one is always ready, and then the rest of it goes. It's in response, you know. But yeah, just use it. Notice it is the most important thing. If you take nothing else away from this session, notice when you apply.
Yeah, absolutely. And put it all out there. And yeah, before, creating this much content, repurposing content, rewriting content, it's just too much, right? It's just too much, especially if you're a solopreneur, right? Or someone who just has a VA, or something like that. It's like, it's just too much to produce this much content. It's just really not possible to live a balanced life and produce as much as is needed, right? To
Yeah,
compete with others who have whole teams, a marketing team, right? Someone who is writing posts, someone who is designing posts, someone who is doing SEO. Like, they are at such of an advantage. But now we have that advantage as well, because in minutes we can take a blog and turn it into Substack notes and rewrite the headlines and use it in Pinterest, or
yeah,
rewrite it into LinkedIn, put it into our Azure knowledge base, like all of this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, like Veronica said, the key is to really create those posts on those places that ChatGPT is searching through. So blogs, LinkedIn, Substack, Medium, probably, right? You can even ask ChatGPT, like, what are the places that you are searching? And so then be in those places and just take your posts and like quickly repurpose them, right? You can sit down, once a week or once a month and kind of take your best posts and then post them over there,
yeah,
right? And then the other thing is, again, to become someone that it recognizes, right, as an expert on a topic.
yeah,
Take that one topic and cover it from multiple angles, right? Talk about it over and over and over again, right? So I want to share about, how to use human design for marketing, right? And so I can talk about that topic from so many different angles, right? Over and over and over again. How a client did that, how I do that, how you can do it, the mistakes you make, all of those things. Just talk about the same kind of concepts and ideas from different angles. And that way you're kind of, being repetitive enough for AI to be like, okay, she knows everything about this topic because she is covering everything about the topic, right?
yeah.
And all the different angles. So it helps to recommend you, right?
One thing for the typically I meet manifesting generators in my work who are mostly passionate, and one question that comes up is, do I restrict what I talk about to just this topic that I want to be recommended for? And my answer to that, yours might be different. My answer to that is no. Just follow your response. Just write what you want to write about, and then optimize it. Follow your response before you follow the GEO, because strategy. It says it on my card. Strategy doesn't unlock flow. You follow the flow. It's always flow first. Follow your response, and then if you try and oh no, I want ChatGPT to recommend me for human design and content. Therefore, I cannot talk about my business growth strategies. That don't do that. Don't try and censor yourself. Just follow your flow, follow your response, or whatever it is that lights you up. That's what you talk about in that moment,
Yeah, yeah. And everyone, like I always say, everyone has that overarching umbrella, right?
Yeah,
Where everything falls under. So I am a manifesting generator. I know what it's like to want to talk about different topics, right? In business coaching, I can talk about mindset, identity, nervous system, search engine optimization, storytelling, content marketing, client attraction, sales, like everything, right? So, but it all falls under this one umbrella that kind of contains it all, right?
yeah,
Which is business with human design, right? And aligned business with human design, business growth with human design. So yeah,
yeah.
everyone
For
has
me,
that like
um,
overarching
it's online income. Um, as the spoonie. Well, the spoonie thing's really, I've just brought that in here to niche it down some more. But and it basically my niche is me. It's anything that relates to what relates to me. But it's about having the freedom to earn a living online. So that's it's content, it's copywriting, it's the human design response strategy. That I don't go any further than the strategy, because that's in general I'm only about the strategy, about the responding part. I'm not the expert beneath that. It's about digital products. It's about the program I'm starting tomorrow is about creating a local PDF product that appeals to the wider world that you sell. You get paid by people who would normally scroll past your normal stuff. It's about courses, about teaching how to create online programs, deliver online programs. It's about personality profiling. It's about finding out who you are and how you're wired to thrive. It's about it's not about being disabled. Yes, I'm here to help the spoons, but I don't focus on the disability bit. That's the bit we manage. It's not the bit that I lead with. It's not that my disability, plural, are about me, not my business. So I'm here as a role model of someone who is really quite disabled in the hearing, the eyesight, the mobility, and yet online I've created a business that means my husband has not had a job outside the house for 12 years. It pays all of our bills, and that's not normal. That's not it's not possible out there either in a real full-time world. I wouldn't be able to earn what I can earn here. I've created a life where I've literally outsourced everything that isn't my flow. My husband does literally everything in this house that isn't the business, and that I've created that life, which means we could live here. We live on a little island just an hour away from the big island of England, and that was a dream of mine for 20 years to live here. But you can't live here. You don't move here if you need consistent full-time double income. It's not that economy, but the business allowed that to happen. So anything that falls within that huge balloon is my umbrella. And so your umbrella can be wide, it can be vast.
And contain a lot of topics. All that matters is that if you don't cover that one topic just once, so to say, but like cover it from multiple angles, answer questions about it, right?
Yeah, it needs to thread, doesn't it? You've got your main topic must thread through everything that you know.
The main goal and the main outcome that you help people with, right? In your case, creating an online business, a thriving online business that gives you that freedom and income as someone with disability, but also for everyone else, right? But it's especially great for anyone with disability, right? Because this whole model, online business model, is just absolutely amazing for you. Let me just see what Cauldron is saying. What is GEO and what's the name of the other platforms you use? I couldn't catch. GEO is generative AI. So it's like search engine optimization, SEO, but it's generative engine optimization, right? Other people call it LLMO, large language model optimization, right? People now have different names for this, but basically you are it's helping you show up in AI results.
Yeah, it's making the content that you write go further and live longer. That's essentially why I'm here with the message, because it's all about create your content and then don't waste it. Give it. So SEO is the type in a search. GEO is the generative chatty friend.
And since, these days people are going to ChatGPT or Claude or whoever, right? Gemini, doesn't matter which AI, but
Yeah.
people are going to their preferred AI to ask questions to get answers like specific, very, very specific, and not have to search through Google or whatever, right? We want to show up in
Do
AI results.
you do you personally go to chat to search before you go to Google these days or not? Yeah.
Depends on what I want.
Okay,
It
so
really
chat.
depends. If I just want a quick answer and it's a very, very specific one, then I'm gonna go to ChatGPT for
Yeah.
that. If it's a little bit more, I don't know, like if I want to see other people's recommendation, if I want, like, here's my recommendations on what to do in Mallorca, right? I'm not gonna go and ask ChatGPT what to do in Mallorca or what
Yeah.
life looks like in Shanghai, right? Like I want real people giving me the behind the scenes, right? And telling me about the
Well.
experience. I don't want the first result that was
Yeah,
created
yeah.
by a tour company or something like that, right? So in these cases, I'm always doing my own research, right? But in the other cases, it's ChatGPT, because why would I waste time searching through all of that content to find an answer, right?
I
So
sometimes go to Chatty to kind of I brain dump all of what I'm thinking in there, and then extract the thing that I goes to Google to search. If you put the big brain dump in Google, you don't get very far. So I get chat to sort out what I want to ask, and then with that information, I can see what I need to ask Google. But I agree with getting real people and being able to do your own. In any case, you want to do your own research, because ChatGPT, particularly, I found more so than the others, is a real people pleaser. You know, they won't tell you. It won't tell you it doesn't know. It will tell you an answer, and so you have to
yeah, that is
go
an
and look for
issue.
yourself.
Yeah, it is an issue because it is people pleasing. It is, giving you the answers even if it doesn't have answers, right? It's hallucinating, right? Hallucinating things. So yeah, that is a bit of a danger with it, and it's also very um, validating in a way, right? So you can say, "Oh, I want to quit my job and whatever," right? Read the yeah, but like that's a valid thing. Like you are probably feeling like this is the right thing. Go do it. And like,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah. You got to
Yeah.
notice, realise what's going on. But it's very easy, I found. To get pulled in. I don't know if this is, I don't know why, but there was one evening I was chatting with Grok about some new thing, and it kept coming back with questions because I trained to do that, and my response kept activating, and I had to what are you doing? You know, this thing is stop, cut this conversation, and I'm like, oh, bye, and I was pulled right in. I don't know. But it's been really nice about telling me how clever I am. What a brilliant question that
Yes,
was.
of course. That's why we need to like really everyone needs to become a prompt expert now, because we need to know what to say to it. You need to know, how to tell it, like, don't just affirm what I'm saying, right? Play the devil's advocate, so that it can give you the opposite of, like, what's bad about this idea as well, like criticize this thing, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you really got to instruct it to be like very, objective, right? And like
Yeah,
look at the situation and give you the bad things about it, not just the good things about it, because it wants to validate you. And that's why it's so addicting as well. We're kind of digressing, but it's okay. Like, well, that's why it's also so addictive. And the recent research has found that this is literally it. Like, it constantly is validating you, right? And
yeah,
so people go to it as a therapist, right? And they're a narcissist, and then
yeah.
it's like validating their behavior and things like that. So I mean, it's crazy. But let me just see the what is going on. Then he's like, okay, so yes, chats, people pleasing, fueled an argument with, oh my god, with my man. Then I started adding the devil's advocate prompts. It's a great, great one to add in there. So great choice, definitely. But yeah, I guess Is there anything else? I think we
No,
covered
I
everything.
think we've gone really deep, haven't we? I mean, if there's anything, if I can help you with the GEO stuff, I've got a GEO starter kit. You'll get that in the links on my profile. Click through to my website, links in there. I've got a free guide. And then there's a small upsell to help you train your GPT and to create optimized constants and templates and what have you. But yeah, just I think the takeaway is to just notice when you're responding, and then the rest of it will fall into place, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Reuse it. Respond, reuse, repurpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Answer those questions that people have. Tell GPT to give you the questions that people are asking so that you can write about those, use
Yeah,
those in headlines and things like that. So yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be
Good stuff.
amazing. Good stuff indeed. Yeah, just like we said before, um, it it is going to become like the main platform for search. So
Yeah,
start now, kind of getting familiar with how to end up in the search of ChatGPT or the answers of
yeah,
ChatGPT or any other AI that for that matter, right?
yeah,
So start thinking about that now, and it doesn't have to be too complicated. Go check out Veronica's resources, and also the one where she tells you how to train ChatGPT to give you as a recommendation, right?
yeah.
So go dive into
But
that.
we're
Go follow
right in at
Veronica.
the early. Now's the time to start so that you get in on, because now all the models are trained at a different time. Start now so you're getting into all of the next and the future updates. Don't sit on this, don't sleep on it. Um, and just
Go
go,
for it.
you know?
Yeah, we have a rare opportunity here with both like Substack and AI because they're so fresh, right? And so it's like they're just getting started. And so with that, like we are getting started with it, and it's amazing, right? So we
Yeah,
have this like first mover advantage, right? Still so many people, only 50 million people are using Substack. Like
yeah,
that's maybe Canada, right? That's like a little bit more
yeah,
than Canada. Like nothing special, right? But it's growing every day, right? And the same thing with AI and optimizing for AI. Like, yeah, let's start getting to know that right now so we can start to slowly develop our own system, right? Like Veronica and I were talking about like how do you come up with the topics, right?
yeah.
Or very specific so that AI is going to find you and recommend you, right? Can you create like ChatGPT conversation threads that create like SEO optimized blogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can create these blogs or a ChatGPT conversation thread that takes a note, Substack notes, and turns it into a blog, turns it into an email, right? Takes your comment and turns it into a full
Yeah,
blog. Like all of that, once you set up that system, that's that. Like you can constantly just rely on that and everything just becomes so fast.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've developed like in the past 6 months, I've really worked on developing an entire content system and content engine, right, with Notion and ChatGPT, so that like I can immediately like I know I can create the best headlines, I can create the meta descriptions, I can like write
yeah,
little notes from blogs and like all of this, right? Everything that I need, I can do with AI.
yeah,
So
yeah.
once you
Video
create that
transcripts.
system,
Text is what it wants.
yeah,
Text.
exactly, exactly. So that's that, guys.
All right,
If you
thank you.
don't have any questions, go and check out Veronica. Go and
Can I see
download.
this afterwards? Because it's still there afterwards on your
Yeah,
profile. Yeah,
it's
I'll
gonna
come
be
and
yeah.
read the comments and say hello afterwards.
Oh, we can't. No, the comments from the live are not gonna stay in the post,
Oh,
but
okay.
the video you're gonna receive. So for anyone
Okay.
listening who has never done a live,
Yeah, come and
uh,
connect with me. Say hello. Let me know you are here.
yes.
Yeah.
So you are going to get the recording of this live, and I'm going to get
Okay.
the recording, and we also get a transcription. So you can take
Oh,
that transcription, feed it to ChatGPT to create a little blog that summarizes
yes.
what is inside main points, takes out like we have like multiple different, key topics. So we can now take those key topics and turn each of those into a blog, right?
Cool.
And like, so it's amazing. Going live on
So
TikTok
cool.
is
Thank you for
absolutely.
inviting me.
You're so welcome. And thank you for sharing all of this with us. Again, guys, go to Veronica's profile, download that GEO freebie that she has where she takes you through it. And then you can go and download the next thing from her, which is how to train
Yeah, perfect.
AI on your stuff. So go, run. Let's start this. I'm going to go and do that as well. So thank you, Veronica, so much.
You're welcome. See you
Uh,
soon.
thank
Bye-bye.
you, guys. Bye.